He's not a Zoomer. Okay, it is now 6 p.m. I call the regularly scheduled meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. If we could please read the temporary procedures.
The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating on Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the Raise Hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If participating in person in the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item on which you wish to speak, and provide your completed card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available on the table at the entrance.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Rodriguez, if you could please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could have roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Devin Peck, Supervisorial District 5.
Planning Commissioner Richard Wade, District 2.
Planning Commissioner Robert Rodriguez, District 1.
Commissioner Robert Gibson, District 4.
And we'll note that Vice Chair Robert Scagliotti has an excused absence for today.
Thank you. Department announcements.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gibson. I have a brief PowerPoint that I would like to share with the Commission. First, we would like to introduce to you a new addition to our team, to our planning team. We're very excited to have Victor Tafoya. Victor Tafoya is our newest assistant planner with the County of San Benito Resource Management Agency. We have Victor. He has a degree from UC Merced in economics of all majors, and Victor is helping us out as an assistant planner. And one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to focus the work of the planners, to do the planning work, but at the same time have a specialty for them. For example, last month we introduced Stephanie Reck. Stephanie Reck, her specialty is on housing and cannabis affairs, and Victor Tafoya, he's going to be helping us out with a lot of the times when code enforcement goes out and they do an order, a lot of the times they have to work with the planning department to, for example, provide corrections. And so Victor's going to be our lead contact with that department as well. They're going to work collaboratively with code enforcement. We all do, but that's going to be his specialty. Victor is bilingual, both English and Spanish fluently, and very excited to have him on board. Victor, thank you. Would you like to share a few words?
Yes, thank you for that lovely introduction, Abraham. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. First, I'd like to say that I love San Benito County. It's a hardworking community, and I want to help to better the community. I've been over a week working hard as an assistant planner, and I have to say I love this job. I'm going to keep it short, and I want to say that I anticipate working with you individually and as a whole to better our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Also, the Commission has asked for a status update on various projects. And so we're going to provide you with a brief status update on some of the projects that we have going on. And the hope is to provide you with a little bit more detailed. What we're hoping to do is ultimately provide you with a detailed list of all the projects that are ongoing, those that have been approved but not yet under construction, and then those that are under construction, and then provide like a map number to each of those projects and connect that to a map, so that way you'll have that information, and we'll have that for the public as well. But just briefly want to go over some of the projects for today. For example, one of the first slides, I'm not sure if we can see it up on the screen, but we did have a scoping meeting, actually 2 scoping meetings for the Strada Verde Innovation Park proposal that we have. As we know, the project proposes a general plan amendment, a specific plan, a zone change, a commercial vesting tentative map, and a development agreement to allow the creation of a business center on approximately 2,767 acre triangular shaped site. The site is bounded by the Union Pacific Railroad to the northeast, Highway 101 to the west, Pajaro River to the northwest, and agricultural land to the south. As you can see on the screen, there's various types of proposed development. Out of the 2,767 acre site, there's actually 165.77 acres that is planned as a buildable area. Then there's 394 acres for the Pajaro River Wetlands and Riparian Preserve. There's 153 acres for the California Tiger Salamander Upland Habitat Preserve, and 157 acres for stormwater management. And so we had 2 scoping meetings. It was lovely to see some of you present there at that meeting, at one of those 2 meetings. We had one on April 27th, another one on April 28th. They were both in English and Spanish. They were televised through CMAP. We also had them here present in this room and also via Zoom. And the public comment period for the scoping meeting of the environmental impact report actually ended May 11th. Next steps is essentially be able to respond to all the public comments and the responsible agencies' comments received, and prepare the draft environmental impact report. At that point, then we would then have the draft environmental impact report published. We will have that out for the public for public review, to expect public comments from our responsible agencies, and then at that point respond to all those comments in our final environmental impact report, and hopefully have public hearings at that time, hopefully towards the end of the year or so. So just a brief update on Strada Verde. The next one is we also had on this, since the last time we saw each other here, we've had 2 scoping meetings for the Bedabel commercial development. As you can see, the commercial development is mainly proposed on a 26-acre site out of a total 112 acre property. The proposal is delineated in the screen with the yellow line. The entire property is delineated in the screen with the red line, located approximately 3 miles to the north of the intersection of 101 and 156. And the all of the items on the screen is what's being proposed on the project. We did have a scoping meeting on May 3rd and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then a separate one on May 5th at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, both via Zoom and here at the board chambers as well. And we also had a CMAP present and televising it, and it was provided both in English and Spanish as well. And the deadline for comments on the scoping meeting for Bedabel is May 20th. And again, same process. We will then, at that point, respond to the comments, create the draft EIR, have it open for the public, 45-day review period, and then respond to those comments, and hopefully have our public hearings at that time. Again, hopefully towards the end of the year. We also have status update on Santana Ranch. Santana Ranch, as you all know, it's located east of Fairview, as a point of origin, east of Hillcrest and east of Sunny Slope. But it's a total approval of 1,092 units. The development agreement was approved by the Board of Supervisors back in 2010. Currently, there has been 499 residential single-family homes that have been built and occupied. The phase one of the affordable units, 55 multifamily homes, are also built. They have not been occupied at this time because applicant is waiting on the units to be powered, and so we're hoping that within the next 4 to 6 weeks they will be powered. And also the park is pretty much complete as well, but applicant is waiting on the PG&E to power the lighting and the irrigation system there as well, and then they will continue their next round of units. I believe it's all the way to 900 units, and then at that point, the other 55 inclusionary units shall be built and occupied as well. Next slide, please. One before that, it's San Juan Oaks. At this point, San Juan Oaks, as you may know, was approved with 1,100 units, mostly age restricted, 55 and over, and 200-room hotel development located west of Union Road, south of Highway 156. And currently the status is that if you've driven around, and even if you drive along 156, if you look southbound, you'll see that the grading has started on that development at this time. And like I mentioned, we'll be working on a list of all the different projects that we have, those that are in process, those that have been approved but not yet developed, and those that are currently under construction, and have a detailed memo to you with the map as well, and be able to update it from time to time, provide that to you. Another topic that came up previously from the Planning Commission is training for staff, training for planning commissioners, and actually Chair Gibson provided this information via email, and we'll be happy to recirculate it if you like. It's the Institute for Local Government. This is free training for free training for planning commissioners and staff on CEQA training, local planning challenges, how to work effectively with staff, it's very, very positive. It's free, and the one that's going to be held in Monterey via Zoom is July 22nd. Hopefully, you all have the opportunity to attend it. We can recirculate Chairperson's Gibson's email, so that way you can all sign up. They do require a sign up, but it's free of charge. And in talking with our administrative team, if there are other opportunities for training, there are some funds available for training as well. So definitely we'll make sure to let you know. And if you come across anything, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And before we end the department reports, we also wanted to mention that Commission has expressed desire for potential joint planning commission with the City of Hollister and San Juan Bautista, and just wanted to reach out this evening to have you start thinking of potential topics that you would like to have for this potential joint meeting. What we would like to do is reach out to City of Hollister and San Juan Bautista and ask for potential dates and potential topics. One of the things that we were talking about with Ariel and then also with our interim RMA Director Steve Loop was that we've also heard from the Commission about the effects or water availability, water quality in San Benito County. So actually Steve was nice enough to reach out to the San Benito County Water District, and they would be happy to share with us a presentation. So we were thinking that maybe that would be one of the topics during that joint planning commission meeting. So feel free to reach out to us anytime if you have any topics that you would like to discuss, or maybe at the next planning commission during your planning commission reports. Feel free to let us know, and we'll get working on that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Public comment. The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes you to this meeting and encourages your participation. If you wish to speak on a matter which does not appear on the agenda, you may do so during this period. Is there any general public comment via Zoom? Oop, your mic wasn't on.
There's no public comment via Zoom at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there any general public comment in the chambers for an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Consent agenda. We have the resolution to authorize teleconferencing. We have the acknowledgement of certificate of posting and the acknowledgement of public hearing. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Also move.
Sec-
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Regular agenda, public hearing, item number 5, PLN 220008, minor subdivision.
Thank you, Chair Gibson. Our senior planner, Michael Kelly, was not feeling well. He wasn't able to make it, but Ariel Goodspeed will be presenting this item tonight. Thank you, Ariel.
Hi, good evening, commissioners and public. Thank you for letting me present this tonight. So Matthews Minor Subdivision located at 530 and 540 Acapase Road. It is 1 mile southeast of State Route 156 and Fairview Road, and the APN is 016-140-018. So it's about kind of north, east of Hollister and the airport. So the tenant map is to subdivide a 26.37 acre parcel into two parcels. One would be 21.25 acres with an existing main residence. The second one would be a 5.11 acre lot with an existing accessory dwelling. There is no proposed new residences at this time, just the existing residence. This is a close-up, so you can see. So parcel 1, that's a little over 5 acres with the accessory structure. It's a manufactured home. And then on the 21 acre has the main house. It also has an accessory barn structure, corral, some pasture. It's mostly just open land, open pasture land on both parcels. It's consistent with agricultural land use. In addition, land use policies 1.10, PFS 6.4, HS 1.4, and HS 2.1, basically addressing or discouraging development floodplains. The property already constructed with minor future construction, so it's not, you know, building out a lot of accessory dwellings or buildings. The conditions of approval emphasize current floodplain regulations, including elevating living areas above the 100-year flood elevation or similar engineered alternative. So if there were any future accessory structure proposed at some time, they would have to adhere to all of those requirements and would be mitigated as such. And policy NCR 4.7 to preserve water quality through runoff reduction and source controls. Policy 5.4 to minimize particulate matter emissions from construction. It's all implemented within the conditions of approval. And then for zoning, agricultural productive, and it's also, again, most of the properties within the floodplain for agricultural activities are supported by agricultural and the residential use on at least 5 acres, so it's consistent. And the floodplain defines the standards for flood zone construction to follow. Again, it's dividing 1 into 2 parcels. There's no, there's existing residences already there. They're not proposing any new structures, but they would be required to adhere to those requirements if and when it does come. It was found to be categorically exempt under sections 15303, new construction and conversion of small structures, 15304, minor alterations land, and 15305, minor alterations land use limitations. At most, the potential of 2 new dwelling units would 1 or both an accessory dwelling unit allowed by right in this zone. Additional residence for family employees or property owner lessee allowed by right in this zone without subdivision, subject to density maximums. Flood zone is subject to existing zone and flood damage prevention regulations within our code. Site is waived from habitat or sensitive wildlife, and conditions of approval and existing regulations avoid any significant impacts. So staff recommends that you review the staff report and draft a resolution, hold this hearing, make findings in the resolution, and adopt the resolution to approve the project subject to conditions of approval. I did want to bring up Ann Hall. She is on behalf of the applicant, and she did have an item she'd like to discuss with the commission tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ann Hall. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, who is also here if you have questions for her specifically. But as Ariel explained, this is a subdivision of, there's 2 homes on the property, and the real intent of the subdivision here is really estate planning, although I acknowledge anytime you subdivide, you do increase the potential to add accessory dwellings in the future. The main home is occupied by the applicant. The manufactured home, which is a permitted manufactured home, is occupied by her son, and there's no intent to change this in the immediate future. They just want to have them on 2 separate parcels. So we have no objection to the conditions as presented, with 2 exceptions. I know anytime you do a subdivision, Public Works is required to ask for certain things under the ordinance. In particular, condition 24A is requesting that the power poles along the frontage of the property be undergrounded. Like I said, I know staff has to ask that because it says so in the ordinance. But I also know that the Planning Commission has the authority to modify or delete any of the conditions that the staff has in here. And for this project, on this road, undergrounding those poles seems well beyond what's happening in the immediate neighborhood, what's, not in scale with the project that's being presented. We would like that condition, that requirement to underground the power poles, 24A, to be deleted. If you're familiar with Aquista Pace Road, you know it comes off Fairview and is very rural. There's farming along most of it. It is not a great road by county standards, but it's a road that everyone there uses. The other condition, condition 21, requires roadway improvements. And to bring this to their frontage to a half of 24 and 34 county standard road. So the exhibit I have here, and I have handouts, I don't know if it's easier for you to see it on the screen or with the handout, but I can give you those if it helps. Like I said, Aquista Pace is not a great road, but the road is actually widest in front of this property, of the whole road. The section coming from Fairview is only about 18 feet wide of a paved road. When you get in front of the Matthews property, it actually widens out to about 24 feet, and it's actually off-center. So they actually have 17 feet of paved area in front of their property. It would not be considered county standard, but it is the road that everyone's using right now. This project does not propose to add traffic to this road or change the current usage of the road. And so we would like you to consider, in addition to 24A, to also changing condition 21 in regard to road improvements. But I'm open to questions if you have questions on this.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
No.
No. Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any public comment for item number 5? Any public comment via Zoom?
No public comment via Zoom at this time.
Is there any public comment for this item in the chambers? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Commissioners, any comments, suggestions?
And Anybody speak to the current road quality of that section of the road?
Interim RMA Director Steve Loop is getting up.
Commissioners, yes. Regarding the roadway condition, Ms. Hall's correct. It's not up to current county standards. Based on her request, we don't think there's any widening that would need to occur. However, if there is any severe alligator cracking that needs to be remediated and replaced, as in a dig out, that would be our recommendation. It looks like there's maybe a chip seal on the road now, and as Ms. Hall noted, the road's in decent condition, so our recommendation to staff would be if there's alligator cracking in specific areas, we would recommend that the condition be that those areas be dug out and replaced to county standards. But we don't think that any widening is required towards the property applicant's property because, as she mentioned, it's already wide enough as it is. So the condition could be revised to say severe roadway distress shall be repaired along the applicant's frontage per direction of the county engineer. That'd be our recommendation. Any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions for Mr. Loop?
I have a comment though. I know there's businesses that run down there, and I understand what they're saying, but I see it's existing home, but there is businesses that do go down.
There's
Heavy
trucks
traffic that goes down that road, and I can't. I don't feel that we've put that on them.
I think he means physical weight, not the amount of cars. Are there heavy trucks that go through
Well, no, not for the residents. I know
for business?
there's businesses up the road from your place that use that road. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no, of course. Yeah, I don't see,
Ann, do you have anything to add, please?
I was just, there is traffic. I think there is some commercial traffic there. It's not from the residences, as you pointed out.
yeah, that's why I don't see the resident, I don't want to see the resident be paying for something that is being, other people are utilizing on the road. That's where I kind of have a hard time with, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Because there isn't any construction at this time, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Other commissioners have any thoughts on the suggestion to delete conditions 21 and 24A?
I'm okay with removing those two
Yeah,
items.
based on what I've heard, I wouldn't object to that.
Definitely removing the utility item and
Yeah.
going with the modification to the roadway improvement where it's not about widening, just about ensuring the quality per the county engineer's recommendation.
I think the consensus might be otherwise with 21 just being deleted completely. Is that's what your thoughts are?
That's where my
Delete the
thoughts
two?
are. Yeah, delete the two.
Commissioner Way?
I would probably go along with that, yes.
Delete the two. Okay, that would be my thought as well. Okay. Can we get a motion with those changes?
I'll make a motion that we approve, PLN 220008 with the removal of item 21 and item 24A.
Okay, there's a motion to approve with the removal of conditions 21 and 24A. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Next item. Item number 6, UP 1079-13, conditional use permit. PLH Vineyard Sky LLC and Ecos Energy LLC.
Thank you, Chair Gibson and members of the commission. We'll have interim RMA Director Steve Loop present this item.
Do I have to right, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. We are going to present on an amendment to a condition of approval for essentially a single condition of approval that's occurred twice during the past 9 years, and to give you some context for that request by the applicant. The subject property is located about 3/4 of a mile west of West Side Road along Buena Vista. And back in 2013, the applicant went through the planning process and submitted maps and essentially processed the project to divide the property into 3 parcels at that time. The size of the parcels were 29.23 acres. And let's see if we can't see the pointer's not shown, but where the solar field is there, that's the larger parcel, the 29.2 acres. And then there's 2 smaller adjacent parcels that were subdivided into 5.19 acres. At that time, the Planning Commission approved that application, and subsequent to that, there was a condition within that approval, notice of decision, that required frontage improvements that would be essentially improved to standards that would be applicable to more of an urban standard, in other words, curb, gutter, sidewalk. And those standards would be applied if the subdivision were for parcels that were less than 5 acres. However, that was not the case in this instance. However, the condition was approved by the Planning Commission. The project was actually built and constructed in 2015, completed in February of 2015. The solar farm was completed. And there was, at that time, this is a different perspective, there was at that time minor driveway improvements actually constructed, approximately a 50-foot apron that was not there previously, and the solar project was completed. And now I'm going to go through a little more detailed timeline from that point forward that I have written out so that I don't miss any steps here. So February of 2016, the applicant filed another subdivision request to the Planning Commission. That was MS 1235-16. That application was for 3 parcels. And let me see if I can, there we go. That application was for 3 parcels also. And they were subdividing that into 5 acres and 5.3 acres and 18.8 acres. So essentially, the solar farm is the larger parcel, and then there's 2 smaller parcels towards Buena Vista that were presented to the Planning Commission to be approved at that time on this tentative map that we brought up on the screen. Again, the condition to improve the frontage of the property to urban standards for smaller lots was again repeated and approved by the commission, and that included curb, gutter, sidewalk. The applicant at this time, subsequent to this, after this occurred, had approached the county and the previous county engineer, and they had made a deposit to the county to improve the frontage to the urban standards of curb, gutter, sidewalk, and they provided a deposit to the county to do that, because either we request they build the improvements or they actually have to give us a bond. And so they gave us a deposit for the frontage improvements that would be required for properties, a parcel split and subdivision that was for parcels less than 5 acres. So in 2018 to 2020, the applicant had discussions with our county engineer and essentially requested that that condition be changed and be applied and be revised so that it would apply to acres or properties with acreage greater than 5 acres, which has been the case throughout. And so that would obviously substantially minimize some of the improvements. Instead of over and widening curb gutter and sidewalk, you essentially would just have some widening, a gravel shoulder, and that would be the rural standard as opposed to the urban standard. And so the request for the applicant is to revise a single condition that applies to the first subdivision as well as the subsequent subdivision. And the verbiage is to essentially, and the verbiage that should apply per our county code sections 25 and various county code sections, the verbiage that should be applied if the acreage is greater than 5 acres would be to have half of a 56-foot asphalt concrete roadway on a 66-foot roadbed, basically aggregate base shoulder, along the property frontage of Buena Vista Road, pertinent to the frontage of properties that have been approved for on-site improvements. And so that's the status of the request.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any comments or questions from the commissioners?
Yes,
Commissioner Way?
thank you. So is it true that even after the second subdivision, no parcel is smaller than 5 acres?
That is correct. The second subdivision was 5.0, 5.35, and 18.8 acres.
Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Any other questions from the commissioners before we go to public comment?
May I address the chair, please?
Yes.
Just to point out, I believe, and perhaps Mr. Loop can confirm that the original condition would have applied to the entire 751 feet of frontage along the original parcel. They were, the other frontage parcels are greater than 5 acres, and one of them is developed as with an existing home. The other is vacant, and so the revision of the condition of approval would just be for the 60-foot flag lot portion of the right-of-way instead of the entire 751-foot frontage along the original parcel that was subdivided.
That's correct. And part of that, or in addition to that, the 2 adjacent parcels are owned by different property owners at this time. They're not owned by the applicant, the other 2 5-acre parcels. So yes, just for context, but that's correct.
Okay. With that comment, did the buyers of that property know that there was a condition that was due the county? Was that part of the legal obligation that when they bought that they were aware that they were required to do some improvements?
I don't know if that's a legal question. They were aware of the subdivision notice of decision, I guess is the right answer at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments at this time before we go to public comment? Seeing none, public comment. Is there any public comment in the chambers for item number 6? None. Is there any public comment via Zoom?
There's no public comment via Zoom at this time. Oh, yes, there is.
Good evening. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Steve Breuer with Ecos Energy. Good evening, Planning Commission. One thing I'd like to identify is that the original 2 5-acre parcels were ultimately retained by the original landowner at the time of purchase. So it's not that the applicant at one point owned the entire parcel. The original landowner owns those first 2 5-acre parcels of frontage. if that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification.
If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. We must have lost the gentleman that was in the chambers earlier. Okay. Okay. Is there any public comment via Zoom? Is that?
No additional public comment via Zoom.
Okay. Public comment is closed. Back to the commission.
I'd like a little refresher of recollection. I know that the sidewalk on the frontage on the other side of Buena Vista Road from this property presently has sidewalk, and I'm trying to remember how far or kind of what the conditions are along that side of the road. I know that there's a sidewalk at some point. I think it gives out before this property presently, but I wanted to be sure that I'm clear on that, on the current frontage conditions.
You are correct on the opposite side, and I believe there's adjacent development, on the site version of that, but you're correct. It stops right in that area essentially. So.
Perhaps you could provide the aerial view from the web GIS.
Not sure how up to date that is, but you're absolutely right, Stephen and Joel. The Kuiper Homes, I believe, is developing north of Buena Vista between Miller and then westbound all the way to where the Gonzalez property. It's approximately 300 feet or so, where there's sidewalk, curb, and gutter.
Yeah, and there are various portions of that one image from the web GIS that's part of the PowerPoint illustrates that there are irregular portions of the area. The entire south side of Buena Vista Road in that location is within the city of Hollister. So that area, the street frontage was developed to city standards when it was subdivided to smaller parcels. So the unincorporated parcels on the other side of the street are still appropriate for the rural standards because they're not developed with higher densities.
Although it is being annexed into the city and developed at this time, the north side of the road?
No, it's not.
Well, the Borelli, is it Borelli across the street that's under development now?
That one
It seems to be going to the west, the developments.
An area that is generally considered to be adjacent or in the line for annexation.
Correct. That was my thought.
Yeah, so at the time that it develops and annexes to smaller parcels, it would be appropriate to require those additional frontage improvements.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes,
So
Commissioner Rodriguez.
back when this was approved by the Planning Commission, that was a condition that was set, and they agreed upon it, correct?
Yes.
Oh, that was a condition back then.
that is
That's correct.
correct.
2014.
Okay.
Twice, it seems.
That is correct.
Yeah. So,
And,
the improvements were agreed upon twice. So
yeah.
it seems, in my opinion, that they should stick to the conditions that they agreed to at the time.
And I will additionally comment that more and more so, Buena Vista Road is an artery street of the county and of the community, especially since the, throughfare to Highway 25, it is one of the highest traffic's main usage roads in Hollister.
Yeah, and I believe it's a collector, which does have a decent amount of traffic, as you noted. That is correct. So.
And it's generally at a higher rate of speed than the speed limit listed. So wider roads with sidewalks would make it more safe for children that are going to school, etc.
That is correct. And we're getting close, and as the commissioner noted, and other staff, this is essentially their frontage here, where you see the horseshoe to the right. the driveway, that's the driveway to the left on the north side is their driveway, and then across the street, as noted, there is curb gutter and sidewalk. So, yeah,
Okay.
you can see that.
Commissioner Way?
Yeah, I'm kind of out on a limb here, but it seems to me that, you know, regardless of whether it's a good idea to do this improvement at this time, given the conditions that exist now, the fact remains that an error was made at the point in the past, and I don't think, from what I'm hearing, I don't think it was deliberate to impose this incorrect, at the time, condition. And given that, it seems like we ought to correct that error, and then moving forward, if and when it becomes appropriate, either because either because of annexation, in which case we wouldn't be necessarily involved, or because of further subdivision, in which case we would, then at that point, but of course, all this would really do would be to give the applicant a little bit of delay in terms of the amount of time required before they would have to do this anyway. I suppose if the bond already exists, I could be convinced that maybe, given the fact that they agreed to it twice, perhaps that's enough to sway me. I'm just thinking out loud.
I'll just like to introduce some anecdotal comments on the basis of my past 11 years of residence along this road. I can tell you that, yes, children to Calaveras School do walk down that road, on a daily basis. And of course, the sidewalk runs out as you get outside of the city limits, and that is a hazard. I can also relate in regards to safety that there has not been a single year that has passed that I've been a resident on that street, that there has not been a substantial car accident requiring an ambulance and an emergency response. It's a reliable thing usually in November and December, but it happens other times as well, that somebody is seriously injured and there's a car flipped on that road because people take it way too fast. And as a third to illustrate my point regarding the present safety of the road, this month I buried my 10th pet cat. That's to say, over 10 years, I've lost 10 cats on that road. There isn't a year that goes by that we don't see dead pets on that road, because people treat it as if it was a freeway. They treat it as a 70-mile-an-hour road. And there are drag events that happen very late at night. It is a hazardous road. I'll just mention that, and I will say that in light of that, I think that frontage improvements will improve pedestrian safety, it will improve child safety, and I think that is an important consideration.
To the chair, I'd like to make an inquiry of Commissioner Peck as to where he lives in relation to this property.
I live at 2191 Buena Vista Road.
And how far is that from this property?
Somewhere, it's past the Simonovich Body Shop, somewhere in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 feet. Is it advised that I recuse myself?
Well, it's an issue that unfortunately you have already participated in this. Whether or not there is a conflict because of your proximity to your residence would have to be evaluated on further facts.
Okay. Is there a motion on the table?
I don't know how to I'm going to deny. Is that be a
So
motion?
there's a motion to deny the request. Is there a second? I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain.
3 ayes, 1 abstention. Request
Thank you.
denied. Board announcements. Do the commissioners have anything to announce? Anything you'd like to see on future agendas?
No.
Any trainings you plan on attending?
In regards to that joint conference with San Juan Bautista and Hollister, obviously water development. Also, something that I hear clearly is, the need for continuing internet infrastructure development. I know that there's work with the RCRC initiative, but I think it's a important topic because we cannot attract commercial development if we do not have reliable internet infrastructure. That's a simple fact.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Just a friendly reminder, we have a special planning commission June 1st, and we'll be contacting you all before then.
Fantastic. Thank you.